Electoral Commission ramps up awareness in lead-up to polling. PM commends supporters for peaceful campaign period. And City Women's Hostel learns about protecting the environment.
This is National MTV News with Helen Sayer.
Good evening and thank you for joining me for Sunday's news. A mock polling exercise was carried out yesterday as the Electoral Commission continues its election awareness campaign in Port Moresby. MCD Election Manager Terence Hetinu urged the public to attend after a small crowd of NCD residents showed up. About 13 days remain before the polls open.
Electoral Commission officers in nation's capital were out in numbers yesterday to conduct the mock polling exercise. Despite the hot Port Moresby sun, the public did attend as easy officers demonstrated the process a voter is expected to follow on polling day. NCD Election Manager Terence Hetinu says the presiding officer and other officials on duty at the polling station will be strict. He reminded voters any vote can be informal if voters fail to follow proper steps in casting a vote. In this national election, men and women will have separate polling booths. An express lane is provided to be used by pregnant mothers and people living with special needs. Voters in Port Moresby are urged to be on time at polling venues. NCD will have one-day polling which opens strictly at 8 o'clock in the morning and closes at 6 p.m. sharp in the evening.
Everybody who is standing at that time, the time I strike him 6 o'clock, you get everybody in, pass him rope, get the rope, tie up the line, secure it. Everybody inside the solve the vote. Anybody comes late, I have no cut now. I have no cut.
This election campaign awareness by the Electoral Commission will end a day before polling. Giantkakapo Jr. National MTV News.
Meanwhile, the NCD Election Manager says preparations for polling in NCD is progressing well. Mr. Hetinu says election officers are prepared to conduct the one-day event. Hetinu also thanked city residents for the peaceful campaign period and hopes polling will be the same with no major incidents reported.
So far, so good with the preparation and even during the campaign period. What I have seen, I'm pleased with the campaigns going on with the candidates. I think they are well educated, they're well informed, and they know what they are doing. So I would like to assure the candidates as well as the voters that the NCD Electoral Office is ready. We are prepared to be able to carry out the election and deliver the election on time for the people of Port Moresby.
Prime Minister Peter ONeill has applauded the conduct of most supporters during the current election campaign. He says he looks forward to this continuing for the remaining days of campaigning. Mr. ONeill said while there have been some instances of unacceptable behavior stemming from personal tensions before the election, the 2017 election is a turning point for the nation. The Prime Minister said he looks forward to the voting period from June 24 and welcomes the participation of official election observers from around the world. He says the international media will only cover Papua New Guinea issues if they are negative, so we have seen little global coverage of the elections this time around. Every ballot box will have a metal tag sealing or locking system. This is one of the changes done by the Electoral Commission to safeguard the ballot boxes. Electoral officers say past elections used plastic tags which were easily damaged. The metal tag will now be used to avoid tampering by either supporters or those in charge of polling.
So with this added features from ballot box now, the metal seals that will replace the old plastic seals now. So that is a way forward long polling time. When polling day comes now, you plug PO misilim map now. Polling team you plug looking the scrutineers will have more confidence in you in the movement of ballot boxes after the polling.
The difficulty in generating income has been identified as a factor in the delay in paying court fines or compensation at the Baraina Village Court. Francis Rao, a village court magistrate in Baraina, highlighted this when speaking on the challenges of village courts.
Rao is one of the 5 village court magistrates in the Kivari Ward 1 area. Rao explains that because of the narrow opportunities to make money, it delays village court decisions on paying fines and compensation.
Because the road conditions, that's why people never go to market. That's why when I make court decisions, when I give them court fines, there are no money. That's why, or compensations like that, people haven't got any money. That's why it's getting me delay on those. That's why people always, I never bring them to make Form 7 for imprisonment.
Similar to the need Berena has for a national court infrastructure, Berena does not have a village courthouse. Thus, most of the court decisions are delivered under the shade of a tree.
We haven't got anything like facilities, like buildings, court areas. We have nothing.
In addressing this, the Chief Justice, Sirphuket Mo, says there is need to build court facilities for all levels of courts. Sirphuket Mo explained that over 80% of court matters are solved at the village court levels.
What kind of respect are people going to give to people who sit under the mango tree and make decisions? It lacks respect and integrity, yeah. And bribery creeps in. All kinds of improper activities creep in. And thereby, the decisions they make face the risk of losing respect and integrity.
Thus, he encouraged the national government to assist where possible. Sirphuket Mo also encouraged villages in the Kairuku district to look after court facilities that are built for the community.
There's a designated place. They came to this place to resolve their disputes. Mediation outside first. If that failed, adjudication inside. And the decisions they made inside had integrity and respect. That is why you need a village courthouse, huh?
Sakla Gunga, National MCV News.
Condition of service, appointment process and judicial functions were identified as areas of improvements for the village courts. Chief Justice Sirphuket Mo highlighted these areas when explaining the functions of village courts. Focusing more on appointment process, Sirphuket Mo said magistrates must have full knowledge of customary laws and must be appointed based on merit.
An independent body needs to be set up to make those appointments, like we make judicial appointments of judges and magistrates of the district court. Then so be it that there be an independent commission who will make appointments without fear or favor and based on merit. People with merit will have to be appointed. People who are knowledgeable and experienced in the knowledge of customary law and its application.
The National Fisheries Authority is making preparations to destroy the illegal fishing vessels which were impounded in 2016. Those vessels were used by 50 Vietnamese fishermen to steal sea cucumbers off the coast of Milne Bay last December. The men were arrested and prosecuted at the Waigani District Court and were sentenced to 4 years each imprisonment, while the vessels were forfeited to NFA to destroy. You're with National EMTV News. More local stories after this break. Stay with us. Welcome back. The National Court in Buka has adjourned the court hearing filed by Buka Town Manager Edward Kenai and the Buka Town Council against Buka Town Mayor John Angamata and 6 other defendants. The court order granted a hearing extension to later July or August and maintains that Mr. Kenai is still the manager of the Buka Town Council. Kenai will continue to perform his duties and responsibilities without interference from the dependents. The Waigani National Court has declared the declaration of Komo Magarima MP Francis Potape as Hela governor in 2016 null and void. The ruling made by Justice Colin McKyle was based on grounds that the procedure used in electing Potape was illegal. This means Hela province will be without a governor until the return of writs.
This is the third time a decision over the battle of the Hela governor seat was made by the Waigani National Court, following claims by Komo Magarima MP Francis Potape that the late governor and the Senaigiru was not performing his duties. The matter was pursued in court to elect a new governor. In December 2015, Potape was elected as Hela governor. However, on 14 June 2016, a national court ruling ordered that the procedure used in electing Potape was unconstitutional and did not follow the Assembly's standing orders. Between July and September 2016, there were a number of meetings held by members of the Hela Provincial Assembly. In the first meeting, Potape was elected as governor, while the second meeting declared ONeill also as the Hela governor. This matter was again taken to the courts. In September 2016, a national court order refused both Potape and ONeill as Hela governors. The decision, also made by Justice Colin McKyle, was based on grounds that both meetings held by members of the Hela Provincial Assembly were a breach of the Provincial and Local Level Government Act. In court last Wednesday, Justice McKyle ruled that the appointment of Potape following that decision was illegal. This now means Hela will be without a governor until after the elections. Thekla Gunga, National MTV News.
Sitting Abau MP Sirphuket Mo has brushed aside claims of misappropriation labelled against him by rival candidates. Sirphuket clarified that the funding for the construction of Abau District Hospital was deposited into the hospital's trust account and not his private account. He is calling on candidates to refrain from using false allegations to campaign against him. Eric Harupma with this report.
Public Service Minister and Abau MP Sirphuket Mo spoke about allegations made against him by rival candidates contesting the Abau open seat. He says the 80 million kina funding for the construction of Abau District Hospital comes from a provision from the oil tax credit scheme, which allows for projects outside of project areas. Oil sets as a good governing system in awarding projects to a contractor which Sirphuket says he has no influence over.
Candidates like Sirphuket come and tell you in public that Oil Sets gave me 18 million and put it in my private account. Oil Sets is an international company. Even Prime Minister or Governor General, they never do those things. This is against their corporate culture. And, you know, it's very easy for Sirphuket to say it, but, you know, he really should go to my account, get a copy of the statement where they put the money inside, and put it on the Facebook or put it to MTV and make a public announcement. Without any evidence whatsoever, he goes to my village and throughout the district and he says, Oil Sets gave me the 18 million kina, that is why the hospital is not progressing. This hospital is in different phases, and the public servants know that.
He said another 50 million kina funding from the government through the Office of Rural Implementation and Development is for the district's projects, which the District Treasury or DDA decides before approving them.
This is very defamatory. This is why I'm making a public announcement. In fact, I'm glad that MTV is here. I'm asking Sirphuket to publicly apologize for this highly defamatory statement that he's saying in the public. He also said that I got 50 million last 5 years, 10 million every year. I moved the whole 50 million to my account in Australia somewhere. And what money are we using to do all these things from Paramana to Gogosiba? money comes straight from Waigani through to District Treasury, which we created. District Treasury raises the checks because the DDA makes the decisions on which projects to be approved. And those checks are given to the companies that win the bids. Every year, we put a report to the Department of Rural and Implementation. It used to be called Office of Rural Development. We give annual acquittals there. And so that's the process. So how can I divert 50 million, the whole of the 50 million, to whatever account that Sechipo knows in Australia? Again, another Giaman Tok, I know.
Sirphuket also clarified that the 5 million kina funding for the Kupiano Town road ceiling was developed through a public investment program or PIP after cabinet meetings and not a particular candidate.
One candidate by the name of Patrick Puri, through the contract system, although he is a public servant, he created a company and he won the bid of the office complex over 4 million. Now he's telling everybody that because I didn't give him the money, he didn't finish the office. So far we've given him 3.5 million. The last $500,000, the 2 checks that were given to him, he has done nothing. This is why it's just a standstill. And then those of you public servants, you are believing the lie and following him. He also told a lie that he got the money for the Kupiano Town ceiling. Kupiano Town ceiling was developed through a public investment program, PIP. When you look at the last year's budget, you will find Kupiano Town allocated 5 million kina. Patrick says he went and did it. Hey, the budget is approved in cabinet where all the ministers meet. Patrick is not a minister. He was a public servant in Konodobu, not attending to work. And then he comes and publicly says that through his efforts, the Kupiano Town's road is sealed. Rara.
Sirphuket has called on about candidate Setipo Vuata to apologize to him immediately for making these defamatory statements. Eric Arupma, National MTV News.
Northeast candidate Karl Okok highlighted the need for a visionary leader yesterday in one of his rallies. Okok says Northeast is behind its development aspirations despite being given the same amount of funding like Mosby South and West. Okok is calling for a change in leadership for Northeast.
Okok's campaign trail has targeted small communities in the Northeast electorate. Okok, who is contesting for the first time, says people must vote leaders who will serve the full 5-year term and bring change.
We need to put someone in there but start to work hard for 5 years. They do not work for 2 months now, take off now. 5 years later, campaign and try to total.
Okok is up against 51 other candidates, 6 of whom are women. For Okok, he believes Mosby East electorate as a vacuum in its political leadership.
Because Mitla has vacuum the political leadership of Northeast. No district office, no place of a member, no place of district representatives. If you are sitting on long for 4 or 5 years, we will stop now. You plus away, me not down you plan.
Campaign rallies have been hectic in the city with singing preparations, brass band and food sharing. For some, polling may be days away, but they have already made the decisions. It has been a quiet campaign period for candidates in Port Moresby. City police say no major crime or political-related violence has been reported. Less than 13 days remain before the polls open. Giantkakapo Jr., National MTV News.
Party leader of Papua New Guinea One Nation Party and Moresby Northwest candidate Joseph Tonde has promised residents of Tokarara for a market to be built if elected. Tonde, who has only recently started campaigning for the Moresby Northwest, believes in empowering women in communities to develop the district. Joseph Tonde, who is a missionary, has also been visiting churches in the district who have been openly inviting the candidates.
While campaign period is winding down into the last weeks, Joseph Tonde, candidate for Moresby Northwest, has started his campaign. On Friday, he was at Tokarara Market where he met with residents and assured them a market would be built if elected.
That's why so we by putting on black clean black good black market. Beetle not by me by separating, boy by stablo narbla up, garden food must stablo narbla up. So you must attract him all. Narbla land inside long. Northwest electorate can come by more kaike.
While campaigning on his policies for women's ministry and youth empowerment, he also met with mothers at Tokarara. He plans to fly them to Australia for farm work. Tonde says women empowerment is needed to develop a district and has been sending women to work on farms overseas, even before running for the Moresby Northwest seat.
Me talk long Mary ministry na me like EQP mol Mary. Me no talk nothing. I must play Mary or me Sally mol go Australia. Me no talk nothing. I must play Mary stop Australia now.
He has been campaigning vigorously in Gerahu, Morata, Baroni and also at churches. Tonde, who is known as a missionary, has been invited to churches to speak on his policies. Today he was at the United Church in Tatana, where he talked on his religion ministry policy.
You call him Christian country, but we never put in God first. So PNG One Nation Party by putting religion ministry, what the Muslim budget law support the overall church.
Tonde is amongst 38 Northwest candidates vying for the seat, and his party, PNG One Nation Party, has endorsed 34 candidates. Adelaide Xerox, Curry National, MTV News.
World Environment Day was on Monday, but the country's oldest women's hostel held an environmental workshop on Wednesday to commemorate World Environment Day. In PNG, there is a greater need for awareness in the community on the effects of climate change and pollution. Those that took part say the main initiative is to look after one's own rubbish.
On Wednesday, a group of women living at the YWCA hostel gathered to learn about the environment. Monday was Environment Day all over the world, and these women took time to observe the day in their common room.
Now is one day international status.
Presentation was done by an environmental group and individuals.
The 17 goals were adopted at the UN General Assembly by 193 member states in 2015.
Followed by a short film about Papua New Guinea produced by the United Nations. The message of the workshop was driven home.
The main thing that I learned tonight is basically being responsible for your own rubbish. That's the biggest thing that most of us fail.
While throwing away rubbish is a vital part of keeping the environment clean, Papua New Guinea has bigger challenges ahead. Climate in the world can affect the country's economy in a big way. Increased rainfall caused by higher temperatures continues to wash away roads and bridges, especially in Lae, Madang and the Highlands Highway. The Waubulolo National Highway is also facing the same problem. In the coastal areas, the rise in sea level chasing island people from their homes. Coffee, cocoa, copra growing areas will also be adversely affected, causing a drastic drop in exports. These are just some of the challenges an unhealthy global environment can cause for a country like Papua New Guinea. But the most severe came recently. In 2015, Papua New Guinea's environment changed. It became very hot. The country was experiencing the adverse effects of the El Nino. It killed food gardens. People around the country called for help. Coffee, copra and cocoa exports dropped significantly. In some ways, Papua New Guinea's economy is still recovering from the El Nino, Bethany Harriman, National MTV News.
A United Nations Ocean Conference concluded with participating countries agreeing to implement long-term strategies to reduce the use of plastic bags. President of UN General Assembly Peter Thompson says they are now working around the world to restart a relationship of balance and respect towards the ocean. Papua New Guinea is a UN member, thus decisions made at the UN platform will be executed through conserve environment protection agencies in the country. Much of the concerns raised recognizes the importance of the Paris Agreement on climate change. The call for action also includes measures to protect coastal and blue carbon ecosystems such as mangroves, tidal marshes, seagrass and coral reefs. Stories making headlines overseas when we come back. Stay with us. Welcome back to the news. Turning overseas now, British Prime Minister Theresa May has hung on to power by the skin of her gritted teeth, thanks to a quick deal with a minor party.
See here, Theresa May is back at 10 Downing Street, the home she nearly lost, pretending nothing happened.
And I will now form a government. A government that can provide certainty.
Certainty at a stretch. She now needs propping up by Northern Ireland's Democratic Unionist Party, the DUP. Their 10 seats give May's Conservatives a 2-seat majority, less than the 7 she had before she called the election. It's hardly emphatic, hardly reassuring certainty.
What the country needs more than ever is certainty. And having secured the largest number of votes and the greatest number of seats in the general election, it is clear that only the Conservative and Unionist Party has the legitimacy and ability to provide that certainty by commanding a majority in the House of Commons.
Once again, British politics have defied belief.
It's a dog's breakfast. It really is.
It's so topsy-turvy, the winner looks like a loser.
Oh, Jeremy Corbyn!
And the loser and his losing supporters couldn't look more chuffed, more like victors. That's a victory dance, if ever there was one.
Politics has changed, and politics isn't going back into the box where it was before.
Jeremy Corbyn has quietened his many critics within his party. His high-five game is abysmal, but his campaign game was strong, far more energetic than May's.
The Prime Minister called the election because she wanted a mandate. Well, the mandate she's got is lost Conservative seats, lost votes, lost support and lost confidence. I would have thought that's enough to go, actually, and make way for a government that will be truly representative of all of the people of this country.
May was reportedly 50-50 over whether to resign, but after hunkering down at Downing Street, she cobbled together her coalition and took her plan to the Queen for approval. And there it is, one of the most startling examples of that great British tradition of keeping calm and carrying on against the odds, arguably against common sense. Which begs the question, how long can she last? Brexit negotiations begin in 9 days. Her party needs her around a little while yet. But as ITV's political editor Robert Peston tweeted, one senior Tory MP told him, "We all hate her, but there is nothing we can do. She has totally f***ed us." The backlash from her MPs eventually prompting some humility and contrition.
And I'm sorry for all those candidates and hard-working party workers who weren't successful, but also particularly sorry for those colleagues who were MPs and ministers who'd contributed so much to our country and who lost their seats and didn't deserve to lose their seats.
May's mantra is strong and stable. Her leadership is now looking weak and wobbly.
Donald Trump says former FBI Director James Comey lied under oath. The U.S. president also insisted Comey's testimony still proves there was no collusion between anyone in his campaign team and Russia. Trump himself didn't obstruct justice.
Would you be willing to speak under oath to give your version of
100%. President Trump said he would be happy to speak with special counsel Robert Mueller about his conversations with James Comey.
I would be glad to tell him exactly what I just told you, Joe.
It would be a significant moment in an investigation that has gone from examining the Trump campaign's ties to Russia to possibly whether the president committed obstruction of justice.
No collusion, no obstruction. He's a leaker.
The president denied Comey's accusation that he pressured the then FBI director to drop the investigation of fired National Security Advisor Michael Flynn.
He did say under oath that you told him to let the Flynn, you said you hoped the Flynn investigation you could let.
I didn't say that.
So he lied about that.
Well, I didn't say that. I mean, I will tell you, I didn't say that.
The president also said he did not ask for Comey's loyalty.
And there'd be nothing wrong if I did say it, according to everybody that I've read today, but I did not say that.
The president attacked Comey for leaking details about their conversations to the press.
I was honestly concerned that he might lie about the nature of our meeting.
Comey testified yesterday that shortly after he was fired, he gave memos documenting his conversations with the president to a friend, who in turn gave them to a reporter.
Because I thought that might prompt the appointment of a special counsel.
Now the president's lawyer, Mark Kasowitz, plans to file a complaint with the Justice Department Inspector General and Senate Judiciary Committee. He argues Comey released sensitive information. Threatening legal action is a tactic often used by Mr. Trump. According to a CBS News tally, Mr. Trump promised to file at least 24 lawsuits during the course of the campaign.
And we're going to have people sue you like you never got sued before.
But he followed through on just 2. Comey's defense is that Mr. Trump's own tweet prompted him to leak the memos. The president had suggested he might have recorded tapes of their conversations.
Lordy, I hope there are tapes.
Today, the president would not confirm the recordings, but said he'll discuss the tapes in the near future.
Oh, you're going to be very disappointed when you hear the answer. Don't worry.
Neither the president nor his lawyers have announced any plans for the president to testify, but there are some in Congress already suggesting that he may be deposed by the special counsel.
A new drone ship in Auckland has drawn a reception close to that of an iPhone launch. Hundreds of people lined up for 12 hours outside DJI's first New Zealand store to see drones.
Queues went down the street and round the corner as drone fans waited in line to get their hands on a new gadget. Filmmaker Sam Bassett spent the night camped outside.
It was about 3 o'clock it got cold.
Was it worth the wait?
100%. It was really, really worth the wait.
You got everything you wanted?
Yes, I did actually, yeah. I got more than what I wanted.
Tills were ringing and gadgets were flying out the door.
It's so easy to use these days. They basically fly themselves. People are getting great shots that go back 10 years you'd have to go to Hollywood to find. So, of course, people are buying drones. They can't get enough of them.
2 hours later, people were still queuing to get inside.
From me down, it's probably been about 2 hours, maybe.
Seeing what they've got here today, I'm quite excited.
I'm going to be traveling around the world, and I want to get a small drone that I can take on a backpack with me.
From drones that will fit in the palm of your hand to the big boys' toys. Customers have come here not only to buy, but also for the opportunity to fly. New drone owners can even take indoor flying lessons before they share the sky with other pilots.
A species of giant whitebait bordering extinction is about to be given a new lease on life. Thousands of Giantkakapo have been bred on captivity and yesterday released into Aboriginal parts north of Auckland.
Preparing thousands of New Zealand's rarest whitebait for life in their new home.
If you put it into context, it's rarer than kiwi.
The native giant Kōkōpū whitebait can grow to more than 1/2 metre in length, but they're rare in the wild. Breeding in captivity has been successful enough to spark New Zealand's largest ever whitebait reintroduction.
We can breed hundreds of thousands of them in captivity, no problem at all. And so it's now really great when you get the community and the councils and so on do up the habitat.
Getting to this point has been 5 years in the planning, so it's important the release is done right. Buckets of water from the stream are tipped into the tank the whitebait were transported in, giving them time to acclimatise. After half an hour or so, they are transferred into buckets before being set free.
Hopefully help, the population and we can all have whitebait.
Until today, there were no giant Kōkōpū here in the streams at Tawharanui Regional Park, but because it's a sanctuary and a marine reserve, the hope is by releasing 10,000 of them here in the streams today, they'll be able to flourish.
It's in a regional park, so these fish are protected so they can just live their lives naturally. There's no ability for people to come here and fish for them as they would in other waterways.
Giving this species a taste of freedom in the wild before we get a taste of them by way of a fritter.
Chukai Sports is next. Details after the break.
Chukai Sports. Chukai Sports.
Welcome to Chukai Sports. Residents of Port Moresby were up early this morning. Runners of all ages and sizes took part in the annual Chukai Fun Run event. The event's popularity is growing every year, with tens of thousands of people taking part in what has become a nationwide event.
Deemed as the biggest event of its kind in the Pacific in terms of popularity and mass participation by people from all walks of life, the Chukai Fun Run continues to inspire. The Fun Run has been the major fundraising event for the PNG Olympic Committee since its inception in 1983, consistently raising funds for Team PNG to participate in international sporting events. For most of the families that turn up to participate, it's a fun way to catch up with other families or simply being part of the event.
Yeah, it was a great opportunity for us to come as a family with my wife and the kids and Tambus. Yeah, we had a great fun today.
Yes, we finished our journey to the finishing line and we really enjoyed it.
And for some, residing in the outskirts of the city is quite far, especially on foot. But for these lads, distance was not an obstacle.
We woke up around 3 a.m. 3 a.m. we walked up from ATS to Gorens.
We came out from the junction. We met some coming down from 8 Mile, 9 Mile. They were walking down this way. We met them and then all of us came together.
While others seizing the opportunity to make their daily ends meet.
We come here early 4 o'clock morning. Working some banana chips, frying some plan. Carrying roughly around 250 packets of banana chips. So by the time morning we come up here, we start sales time. Fun run and finish and banana chips to meet and finish.
Nonetheless, the iconic yellow t-shirt has become a key part of many Papua New Guineans' wardrobe and is seen worn all year round. The Chukai Fun Run has been held in town centers all around Papua New Guinea and participants number in tens of thousands. Shane Saroya, National MTV Sports.
In Lae, hundreds turned out for the annual Chukai Fun Run in Lae. From as early as 6 a.m, a sea of yellow began at the start of the fun run. The runners ended their annual 3.5-kilometer run at the Sir Ignatius Kilagis Stadium. Also present were members of the police and the PNG Defence Force. To softball, the Port Moresby Corporate Slow Pitch competition has seen companies across the nation's capital battle it out at the Bicini Diamonds. Today, the NAC Jets defeated one-time champion PNG Power by 10 runs to 4, and Remington took on All Search. Organised by the Port Moresby Women's Softball Association, the competition has 4 pools, with the finals expected by the middle of July. President Jenny Park says the competition is about networking as well as keeping fit.
And then we go into the playoffs. So we have 4 pools. So the playoffs will run for 3 weekends. So the 3rd weekend in July is when we see the finals come through.
In soccer, after 4 rounds of competition in the Port Moresby Soccer Association, Munkas Football Club's men's and women's Premier Division sides led the table. Behind them, University Inter FC with Guria, PS and Blue Kumuls round out the top 5. FC Genesis, the association's newest club, has had good wins also across its youth, women's and premier teams. The Port Moresby Soccer Association is one of the largest football organizations in PNG. True Guys Sports continues after the break. Stay tuned.
True Guys Sports.
Welcome back to True Guys Sports. The Morobe Karate Association, or MKA, is continuing to build on junior development focus as it ends the first of the 2-day tournament in Lay City. Day 1 began with kata competitions for both male and female teams and individuals.
Morobe Province has an active karate community spread out over the province. Over the last 6 years, there's been renewed focus on junior development as an increasing number of seniors slowly leave active competition. This morning, junior participation was encouraging. Competitors from various styles of karate met at the St. Mary's Hall for the MKA tournament. The team from Unitex Gojuru clubs stood out in the team kata event, taking out the finals. MKA President Sensei John Wata says the future of karate in Morobe looks good, with strong interest by a host of younger competitors.
We're sure that this tournament will also elevate our status.
In the under-14 point contact competitions this afternoon, Lahi and 3-mile competitors showed the quality of junior development, also the work being put in by individual clubs. Karate team preparations for the PNG Games were dampened last year following the government's cancellation of the Games. Vice President and Tournament Director Sensei Rickinson McCary says it was disappointing, but it gave time for the MKA to focus on its own developments.
We managed to pull everyone back along this event and to get them and keep them alive and to compete on this event, and we have another one coming up in September.
Tomorrow, the major draw card for the tournament. Full contact fights for the senior category will see the fighters go head-to-head in the competitions. This will pave way for an open tournament in September and international competitions. Scott Waide, National NTV Sports, Lay.
The Warriors looked set to claim their first away victory this season after beating the Titans 28 points to 8. The Titans were the first to post points 5 minutes into the match, but after that it was all the Warriors. The visitors ran in 4 tries to lead 24-4 at halftime. The second half was less of try-fest, with both teams scoring only 1 try. The SPPNG Hunters beat the South's Logan Magpies 12-8 this afternoon at the National Football Stadium. Hunters coach Michael Marum says defence was what stood out for both sides. They will be working more on their attack in training before their next match against the Tweedhead Seagulls.
Basically told them what stick to our game plan and stuff like that. So, you know, we Magpies, we knew they were going to come up really hard on us. You know, and that showed the result probably. So that. Our defence got us to the end there, so yeah. In terms of our attack, we got a lot of work to do in our attack, so you know, looking forward to a good week next week.
It wasn't the prettiest game of footy in attack, but I thought both sides were really willing in defence, and pretty much that's what you've seen there, the end result. You know, 2 tries apiece, and yeah, really good game of footy.
And that ends True Guys Sports. Up next, the weather details for the next 24 hours.
True Guys Sports. True Guys Sports.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield. Worth doing with Dulux.
Your weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow: in the southern region, cloudy and windy conditions in Port Moresby and Daru, light morning rain showers, then cloudy and windy in Alutau, and cloudy day today in Kerema and Popondetta. In the Momase region, mostly fine although partly cloudy in Lay and Vanimo, cloudy today in Medang, cloudy with some morning showers in Wewak. In the New Guinea Islands region, cloudy periods in Lorengau, cloudy with some morning rain showers in Kavieng, mostly fine although partly cloudy in Kokopo and Rabaul, mostly fine although partly cloudy and windy in Kimbe, and mostly morning showers with possible thunderstorms, then cloudy in Buka. And in the Highlands region, morning fog clearing, then cloudy with light variable winds in all centres.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield. With doing with Dulux.
And that's been Sunday's news. From all of us here at MTV, pleasant viewing. Good night.